very often. You know, I call her some different names. I call her sweetheart. I call her sweetie. I call her princess. I call her love. I call her love muffin sometimes, okay? Sometimes she likes that one, sometimes she doesn't. But that's my wife, Sarah, okay? Let me introduce you to my son. This is Titus, and Titus is my 8-year-old. He's my 8-year-old boy. I love the name Titus. When it took us a long time to figure out what we were going to call him. We were going through the baby name book, and we came across Titus, like, yes, Titus. It means giant. He is a huge kid. He's about this tall, and he's only 8 years old. Actually, just turned 9 this last week. But I actually rarely call him Titus. I actually call him T. I call him T-Man. I call him T-Rex. I tend to have these other little names for him. But that's Titus. He's my 8-year-old. Now, this next picture here is Genevieve. She is my 4-year-old. She is every bit as adorable as she is in this picture here. So she is my extrovert. She is fantastic. But I rarely call her Genevieve. I call her Vivi. We call her Vivi. Most people call her Vivi. But I also call her G. We call her V. We just have these different cute names for her. Now let me introduce to my youngest. This is my youngest daughter. Her name is Elle. That was actually taken yesterday, and she's adorable. Okay, her name is actually Helen, but we call her Elle. And we don't really have a lot of names for her yet because she's still so fresh and new. Sometimes I call her Little Miss Grumpy Pants because when she's not eating, she's sleeping, and then she's angry and she's a little bit grumpy. But these are the names that we have for my kids. Now I have to be real honest, and this is maybe a little bit embarrassing, but my family, actually not my family, my wife actually has a name for me, and I'm a little embarrassed to share it with you guys. But is this a safe room? Can I share it with you guys? You're not gonna like put it on the internet or something like that? Okay. Okay, so my wife, this is what my wife calls me. Yeah. She calls me, actually she calls me Snuggle Bunny, and I kind of like it, and so I actually call myself Mr. Snuggle Bunny, because it sounds a little bit more manly. I actually have friends, I have friends that they sometimes call me Mr. Snuggle Bunny too, because it's kind of funny. Now, let me ask you a question. So these are pet names. These are like names of affection. How many of you guys have one? Like maybe your mom and dad call you something. I want to hear a couple of these. If you got like a really juicy one, like a really kind of embarrassing one, you got one. Come on up here. You're there. Come on. Yeah. You don't want? Come on up if you want to. So you got one. Come on up. I want to hear yours. You got one. Come on up. I want to hear yours. You sir, come on up. I want to hear yours. I want to hear some good pet names that your family has for you. So let me hit you one at a time. So what's your name, buddy?
Hudson.
This is Hudson. Everybody say, hey, Hudson. Okay, Hudson, what is your pet name?
Hudson Butson.
Hudson Butson? Now, who calls you that? Oh, teachers, stuff like that. Do you like it? No, he doesn't really like it. So, okay, so when you see him, do not...
Huddy Hudderson.
Or what?
Huddy Hudderson.
Huddy Hudderson. Do you like that one?
Yeah.
Who calls you that one? A lot of people. Huddy Hudderson. Everyone give Huddy Hudderson a big hand. Okay, let's see. What's your name?
My name's Ty Hope, and my parents call me Gracie Lee because that's a combination of two of my middle names, and I hate it.
Gracie Lee, you hate it.
Yeah.
Why do you hate it?
Because it's my two middle names. I don't like people knowing them.
But your mom and dad call you that, and that's special because your mom and dad have that, right? Okay. Ever give her a big hand. Okay, come up. Tell me what's your name?
Riley.
Riley. Ever say, hey, Riley? Riley, what's your pet name?
Little Tuna.
Little Tuna. Oh, you're embarrassed by this. You see that? She's carrying her eyes. Little Tuna. You don't look like a little tuna.
No, my brother is called Big Tuna, and everyone calls me that.
Okay, so brother's nickname Big Tuna, so you get stuck with Little Tuna. Now, who calls you Little Tuna?
All my friends.
All your friends.
And then my dad calls me that.
And you done? All right, everyone gives Little Tuna a big hand. All right. Good job. Hey, this is Grace. You got up here to do this. So what's your name?
Talisa.
Talisa? So what is your nickname? T-Bone. T-Bone. Who calls you T-Bone?
My mom's boyfriend.
Your mom's boyfriend? No. And do you like it? No. It's okay. Oh, everyone give T-Bone a big hand. Oh, yeah, two more. So what's your name?
Michaela.
Michaela. Everyone say, hey, Michaela. All right, Michaela, what is your pet name?
Micmac Paddywhack.
Micmac Paddywhack. Very nice. Micmac Paddywhack. Okay, say that 10 times. Micmac Paddywhack, Micmac Paddywhack. Okay, I'm not going to try that. So who calls you that?
My mom and dad.
Your mom and dad call you that. And do you like it?
Yes.
Oh, she likes it. Okay, everyone, Micmac Paddywhack. Give Micmac Paddywhack a big hand. Okay, last but not least, what is your name, sir?
Andrew.
Andrew, now what is your pet name? What do people call you?
My dad calls me Pookie.
Pookie. Doesn't he look like a Pookie? Oh, Pookie.
And one time I was making an account and I named my dad for something. I was trying to have a username and my dad was over there naming me Pookie4.
So your username is Pookie4?
Yeah.
Okay, so his password is Pookie4. No, just kidding. So do you like the name? You don't really know, but it's your dad. It's between you and your dad, right?
My mom knows it.
And your mom knows it too?
Pretty much everyone in my house knows it.
Okay, good. Everyone give Pookie a big hand. There you go, Pookie. All right. Well, good. See, most of us have these pet names, don't we? They're like these words of affection. They're special. Now sometimes people have a name that everybody calls you, but they're special names because typically it's only a few people know it. Maybe it's a kind of especially like the only person really who calls me Snuggle Bunny is my wife. Now I have some friends who like to make fun of me and they call me Mr. Snuggle Bunny every now and again. But like it's an affectionate thing that my wife and I have. For instance, my wife goes by the name Sarah. Her name is Sarah, or Mrs. Conley. But I'm the only person who calls her Princess, and not even my kids, because that would be kind of strange if my son said, "Good morning, Mother Princess." That would just be weird. Okay, so it doesn't happen that way. And this is a special thing. And sometimes even the name kind of even defines the relationship that you have with that person. And so that's special that all of us have there. So why the big deal? Why do I talk about pet names? Why do I talk about affectionate names like this? Well, I want to share all this with you because God actually has a pet name for you. Did you know that? God actually has a pet name for you, that he actually refers to his people. He refers to you on multiple occasions. So I want to share that name with you. And so, but I have to go ahead and warn you first that it's a little strange. Okay, it's a little bit of a strange name. When I first tell you what it is, you're going to say like, oh yeah, that's weird. Okay, so just go ahead and prepare yourself. This is what God refers to you as, right here. Sheep. Yeah, you are his sheep. You're his sheep. You're his fuzzy wuzzy little sheep. Yeah. So why don't you turn to your neighbor and say, bah. Okay. Because very good. You guys are very good at this. Okay, so listen. So God, when he refers to us, you guys are living this up. Okay. When God refers to us, oftentimes he refers to us as his sheep. This is like his affectionate name to you. Now, in our culture, this doesn't really mean a lot because we don't interact with sheep a whole lot anymore, do we? I mean, I can't even remember the last time I saw a sheep. Maybe once a month I'm driving down like a rural road and I see some sheep. I typically don't see sheep. Most of you don't see sheep that often, do you? Some of you do. Some of you live out in the country, maybe you see sheep, but if you live in the city or something like that, you don't really see sheep. Actually, most of you see sheep that look something more like this right here, right? This is the sheep that you see. Yeah, you're really familiar with those sheep. You're making beds and making clothes and making carpet and stuff like that. So yeah, you guys are into that, right? So listen, in the Bible though, when the Bible's written down, sheep were a big deal. Like they're a big part of the culture. Everywhere you went, you saw sheep. Sheep were very important. So it only makes sense that God would actually use the term sheep when referring to his people. Like most people, they knew sheep, they had sheep, they maybe had a sheep at home. They knew a shepherd. Actually, if you were growing up in the land of Israel back in the times when Jesus was around and before that, like more than likely you had sheep. And more than likely every now and again you had to go out and watch the sheep graze. You were a shepherd. You had to be a shepherd. The undisputed hero of Israel was David. And guess what David was before he was king? He was a shepherd. He wrote most of the book of Psalms, and he wrote most of Psalms when he was out tending his sheep. And guess what he wrote about a lot? Sheep. He did. He wrote about sheep a lot. No, he wrote about God, but he used this reference point. So sheep were very valuable to the nation of Israel. Sheep were very important. Sheep provided meat. They provided their fleece for clothing. They provided milk. So sheep were very, very interesting. Sheep were also very relational animals. They actually recognized your face. They were friendly. They were cuddly. Some families probably even considered some sheep like a part of the family, like they're cute little animals. And so it only makes sense that God would refer to us as sheep. Over 500 times sheep are mentioned in the Bible? That's a lot of times. I'm not going to answer questions right yet. So lots and lots of times he refers to sheep. Here's a couple really famous sheep verses. Okay, so the first one, you don't have to turn to this because it might take you a second to find it. I'm just going to read it real quick. The words are going to come up on the screen. Psalm 100 verse 3. Know that the Lord, He is God. It is He who made us, and we are His people. We are His people, and the sheep of His pasture. So God made us. You've heard this verse before? We are His sheep. We're the sheep of His pasture. Here's another one. This is a very famous verse. This is a verse that my mom used to read over me and my brothers every morning. When we woke up, we were sitting down having breakfast, and she would read this verse over. It's almost like a prayer. And it's Psalms 23, 1 through 6. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. It's a beautiful verse, isn't it? And this verse is all about God being our shepherd. And we are His sheep, and He takes us to the right places. And so there's this beautiful picture, this relationship between us, sheep, and Jesus, or God, as our shepherd. And that's kind of the relationship that God desires to have with us. So what I want to do today is I want to kind of share some characteristics of sheep, because I think it will help us understand our relationship to God as our shepherd. And so I want to share with you some very common characteristics of sheep, okay? Because we are a lot like sheep. Don't say bah. Okay, good. Okay, very good. We are a lot like sheep, okay? Now, I'm going to give you 3 characteristics of sheep, but to summarize all of these things, I might just simplify it and say there's just one common thing across the board with sheep in general. Okay, are you ready for this? Sheep are dumb. So some of you are thinking, that might sound kind of rude, to say sheep are dumb. And they're not really dumb, they're just kind of dumb, okay? They act kind of dumb. Now some of you are thinking wait a second, Miss Skinny. You just said we're a lot like sheep. And then the very next thing you said was sheep are dumb. So what do you say? Okay, I don't mean to offend anyone here. Okay, but listen, let me describe sheep, and then you're going to nod your head a little bit like, I get it. Okay, so here's the 3 characteristics of sheep. Okay, the first one sheep are herd animals. Okay, they're herd animals. They do everything together. If the sheep start moving in that direction, they just all go that direction. They just go. Why are we going over there? I don't know. We're just going over here. And they go over here, and they just go over. They do everything together. They think together. Very rarely does a sheep say, I'm going to go over here. Everybody, see you later. Sheep don't do that. They just all go together as a group all the time. So sheep are herd animals. Okay, second one sheep are prey. Sheep are prey. I'm not saying sheep prey. Sheep are prey. Sheep are the bottom of the animal kingdom, of the food index here. They're the very bottom, and they're essentially like walking Big Macs, okay? Like sheep are not very defensive animals. Like they can't run very fast. They can't fight. They don't have talons. They can't defend themselves. Like they are just walking Big Macs, okay? So they're very delicate. Okay, the last one is sheep have a lack of awareness. They're not very smart about the surroundings. The sheep typically think about one thing and one thing only: food. They eat. They're constantly trying to satisfy their appetite, and so they just move and they eat, and they don't pay attention necessarily to where they go. Like if the herd starts moving to a very dangerous location, they're usually not aware of it. They're just eating. They're very, very lack of awareness. Okay, so these are 3 very common characteristics of sheep. Sheep are very boring animals. This is all they do. Okay, they move around in herds, they eat, and they sleep. That's about all they do. Then we shave them and make clothes out of their wool, and then that's their life. Okay. Now I told you that we are a lot like sheep. There's a reason why God calls you sheep, because we're like sheep. Let's look at the same thing. Let's look at the characteristics of sheep and let's compare them to ourselves. Sheep are herd animals. We are herd animals. We tend to do things as groups. We are highly influenced by those around us. We often, if something is popular, we want it too. Why do we want that? Because they have it. And if they have it, I want it. Has your mom and dad ever said that phrase before? If they all jumped off the bridge, would you jump off the bridge too? Yeah. Because we are herd animals. Like we want to do what everyone else is doing. Very rarely are we super independent. Like I'm going to do my own thing. We're so afraid of being made fun of or being cast out that we typically tend to follow the crowd. We're herd animals, just like sheep. We are prey. We are prey. We are very delicate. Now, you might disagree with me on this point because you think like, wait a second. No, human beings are the top of the food chain. I mean, sure, lions and sharks are powerful, but we have machine guns and grenades. Okay, so that makes us the best. Now, you would be mistaken because that is true, but I'm talking about more than just physical things. Like when it comes to our spirits and our emotions and our souls, we are very delicate. We get hurt easily, don't we? I can't believe she said that about me. You know, like I'm a trigger. Like we get hurt so badly. Why is he including me? You know, like this is how we act. You know, sometimes even grown men sometimes get so upset over the simplest things. You ever seen a grown man get sick? My throat hurts. Like we're very fragile, okay? We are prey. We are very susceptible to attack. Not just physically, but spiritually and with our soul. And then the last thing is sometimes we have a significant lack of awareness. Like we think we know what's going on. We think we got it all together. We know everything. But rarely do we. Let me tell you, in a few years, I do a lot of premarital counseling. I meet with young people who are getting ready to get married. And here's the thing that I've learned about people who are in love. People who are in love are stupid. Yes. Love does something to the brain. And sometimes we have a lack of awareness when there's something that we want or there's somebody that we want and we just don't think. And sometimes we do really stupid things. We are not the brightest. We have a lack of awareness. I'm not saying any of you are stupid, but sometimes we make foolish decisions when our hearts get captured by something that isn't right for us at the time. We are like sheep. We are like sheep. And God calls us his sheep. He calls himself our shepherd. It's actually kind of a beautiful thing. Now, it's amazing to me. Think about it for a second. It's amazing that sheep have existed for so long. I mean, like sheep, literally, sheep are like walking Big Macs. Just waiting for wolves to devour, waiting for lions to devour. How is it that sheep have lived for so long? Like, how do they still exist? Let's go to the next slide here. Sheep continue to exist because of these guys. Shepherds. Oh, I may not have included that slide. All right. Sheep. Sheep have shepherds. Sheep have shepherds, and they are the ones who protect them. A shepherd reaches out for sheep, and they take care of sheep, they defend sheep, and sheep continue to survive because of their shepherds. So let me kind of connect all the dots here as we wrap this up this morning. Let's connect the dots. Yesterday we learned that Adam and Eve, they were kicked out of the garden because God wanted to protect them. He wanted to keep them safe. He didn't want them to reach out to the tree of life to live forever in their broken state. And so he kicked them out. And God cared for them. He covered them and he protected them. And so as they went out and Adam and Eve had children and they had children and then the nation was formed, that God continued to send protection their way. He wanted to take care of them. And so he provided shepherds for them. He provided shepherds like Moses and shepherds like Joshua and shepherds like Esther and Ruth and all these other men and women who helped. Now, they weren't ideal shepherds. They made mistakes. They weren't always perfect, but they helped. And they helped guide the people. But one day, God sent a perfect shepherd. God sent the ultimate shepherd. Because God knew that these men and women who were shepherds, that they would always fail. They would never completely get it right. That they were imperfect shepherds. And the only way to fix things was for God to send the ultimate shepherd. And so one day, God sent his very own son, Jesus, to be the shepherd of us. To be our shepherd. And Jesus was the ultimate shepherd. Let me give you 3 reasons why Jesus was the ultimate shepherd. The first reason is this. He comforts and provides for us. He comforts and provides for us. Let me read this verse again. Psalm 23, we just read it a minute ago. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. We lay down in green pastures because it's comfortable there. There's food there. He takes care of us that way. He leads me beside still waters. You see, sheep won't drink out of rushing torrential waters. He leads us by still waters so that we can drink. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You see, Jesus is a shepherd who loves us, and Jesus is a shepherd who comforts us and provides for us. He will sustain our souls. He will lead us down to green pastures and still waters to take care of us. Jesus comforts and provides for us. The shepherd knows what's best for us. Now also, Jesus, he cares for us. He cares for us, each and every one of us. I mean, there's 6 billion, actually 7 billion people on the planet, yet he cares for each and every one of us. This is one of my favorite parables here, Matthew 18:12. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go look for the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, truly, I tell you, he's happier about the one sheep than the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that a single one of these little ones should perish. This is how Jesus, this is the kind of shepherd that he is, that if one of you wanders off, that he will search for you, and he will take off, and he'll leave the 99 to go look and find and care for you. If you ever walk away, Jesus is right there, following you, chasing after you. He cares for you, each and every one of you. And the last one is this. The last reason why Jesus is the ultimate shepherd is that he protects us. He protects us. And this is a great verse, John 10:11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. You see, we learned back in the Old Testament that David, he protected his sheep. He fought off the lion. He fought off the bear. He put his life on the line to protect his sheep. And Jesus also laid down his life for his sheep, for us. Now there's one thing, when it was the last verse I'm going to share with you, there's one thing that Jesus does that no other shepherd could do for us. There's one thing that made him unusual. And I'm going to read that verse right here. This is a verse that I think it's your memory verse this week, one of your memory verses this week. John 10:27-28. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. Do you see what Jesus the shepherd does that is different from every other shepherd? What does Jesus do? No, bigger than that. He will give us eternal life. Does any other shepherd do that? No, Jesus can provide eternal life. Now this is interesting, because remember, I'm about to wrap up here, so listen closely. Remember last night, God pushed Adam and Eve out of the garden. Why? To protect them from what? From eternal life, right? He didn't want them to yet have eternal life because he hadn't fixed them yet. But here in this verse, a couple thousand years later, what is it that Jesus offers? Eternal life. You see the difference there? So at one point, they weren't ready for eternal life, but when Jesus comes as shepherd, he provides eternal life. You see, Jesus didn't come just to be a shepherd to guard us and to protect us and care for us. Jesus finally had the solution. Jesus finally had the fix to the problem. He was going to fix everything. And with that fix, he was going to bring eternal life. The way it was always meant to be. The way it was always meant to be. Jesus is the ultimate shepherd. And tonight, we're going to come back and we're going to wrap up all the things that's been leading to this moment. That God created you for two reasons. For you to glorify him and for you to have a relationship with him. And that's been broken since the beginning of creation. And finally, God was ready to set things straight. He was ready to fix everything. Now the story that I'm going to tell you tonight is a story you already know. But I hope to tell it to you in a way that you haven't heard before. And so I want to challenge you. Early in this week, I asked you to talk about the gap. What is it about your relationship with Christ that's not right, or that's not there, or doesn't even exist? Or what is it about your life where it doesn't glorify him? I want you to really spend some time thinking about that today, because tonight, we're going to talk about what this means in the context of the sacrifice that Jesus made for each and every one of us. Let's pray. Father, I thank you so much for this day. I thank you for this time that we've had with these kids. Lord, I thank you that you are the good shepherd, that we are like sheep, that we're herd animals, we follow the crowd. Lord, that we're unaware of our situations, that we're unable to protect ourselves in a way that you can provide protection for us. And Lord, we thank you that you are our good shepherd, that you lay your life on the line for us, but even more so, you come to provide eternal life. Lord, that you come to restore us to the reason for which we were created. Lord, I pray that we have a lot of fun tonight, Lord, but I pray that you begin to prepare hearts, because there are kids and boys and girls and men and women in this room that their hearts aren't right with you. And Lord, I pray that tonight would be a night where we can talk about what that means. We love you and we praise you. Was going to do amazing things. And Mary and Joseph had this perspective, and wise men came and brought him gifts that were good for a king, and shepherds came and they worshipped him like a god, and Mary and Joseph, they knew all these things, but Jesus was even bigger than just that. And see, when Jesus was a young boy, his mom and dad took him to the temple. And they went into Jerusalem to the temple, and Mary and Joseph, they left, and they actually forgot him. Have your parents ever forgotten you somewhat before? Okay, it's happened. It's happened. Well, Mary and Joseph, they actually forgot they forgot Jesus for 3 days. Have any of you guys ever been forgotten for 3 days? No, probably not. Probably not. Your parents probably be in trouble for that. Mary and Joseph, they forgot him for 3 days, and when they came back to get him, Jesus was sitting among the religious leaders, and Jesus was debating with them, asking them profound questions that they couldn't quite come up with the answers for, and they realized that this young man is a very wise and intellectual person, and those people had an experience with Jesus, but Jesus was more than just a wise and intellectual young man. You know, when Jesus was an adult, he began to teach people about God. And he began to teach them about the meaning of life and who God was. And people would follow him everywhere. He drew great crowds. As a wise teacher, they called him a rabbi. But Jesus was far more than just an incredible teacher and rabbi. It soon became very clear that Jesus was more than just a wise teacher. Jesus was a man of power. You see, Jesus would lay his hands on sick people, and they would get well. Jesus would lay his hands on blind people, and they could see. Jesus even commanded some dead people to get up, and they did. Jesus had become known as a worker of miracles. But Jesus was even bigger than just that. And all these examples that I've already shared with you here are like, these are all just parts of the whole. These are just perspectives that certain people had, but Jesus was far more than just a miracle worker. He was far more than just a wise teacher. He was far more than just these different things. He was something much greater. And we know that the characters of the New Testament, the people who interacted with Jesus most, many of them missed it altogether. People who lived with Jesus for multiple years, they missed who he really was. How do we know this? Well, when Jesus died, everybody mourned. They cried, they wept, they were so frustrated. How could he die? Because they didn't get it. They didn't really understand who he really was. So let's kind of clear that up here a little bit. You know, over a period of more than 1,000 years, there were all these prophecies about the coming Messiah. Do you guys know what a prophecy is? For those of you who may not know what a prophecy is, it's almost like somebody saying that something's going to happen. Like, 100 years from now, this great thing is going to happen. That's a prophecy. Sometimes prophecies don't come true. But there were all these prophecies about this coming Messiah. Actually, there are 300 different prophecies about the Messiah. And then when Jesus was born, Jesus started fulfilling these prophecies one right after another. One here, one there. Like prophecies about where he would be born. Prophecies about when he would be born. Prophecies about how he would be born. All these prophecies kept coming true one right after another. Do you know what the chances are of all these prophecies coming true? I tell you what, I know it's summer, but let's do a little math. I need a couple volunteers. I need 3 volunteers. Let me get you right there. You raise your hand really fast. Back in the back in the black shirt. Yeah, right there. Come on. No, you point at yourself. Yeah, you. Come on up. Okay. So I got one more. You get one more over here. And there's somebody, you in the pink shirt right there, the tank top. Yep, that's you. Come on. We're going to do a little bit of math here, okay? I know it's summer, and I know that's probably wrong to do math in the summer. But I want to kind of give you an example of how amazing this really was. So why don't you come up here? I'll let you do this first one here, okay? What's your name? Sydney. Everybody say, hey, Sydney. Okay, Sydney, in this jar, I have 10 buttons, okay? 10 buttons. What colors are they? Orange? It's 9 orange buttons and 1 red button. Okay, here's what we're going to do. The goal of this game is you're going to close your eyes and you're going to reach in and you need to pull out the red button. Got it? Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. Close your eyes. Everyone's watching, so I'm not playing any tricks on you or anything like this. Okay, go ahead and reach in there and pull out the red button. Let's see if she does it. Okay, go ahead. All right, let's see what you got. Oh, an orange button. Put it back in there. Try it again. Okay, try it again. Find the red button. Okay, close your eyes. Gonna shake it around. Okay, pull out the red button. You got it. Let's see if you got it. Let's see. Okay. Oh, no good. Okay, everyone give Sydney a big hand. She tried. How long do you think it would take for actually to get the red one? Maybe a minute, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. You know, what are the odds? Does anyone know what the odds are? What are the odds of getting the red button? 1 out of 10. That's right, the odds are 1 out of 10. If she keeps trying, eventually she's going to get it. Doesn't necessarily mean she'll get it in 10 tries, but eventually she will get it, okay? So that's our game. Why don't you come up here? Tell me what your name is. Abby? Mm-hmm. Abby, nice to meet you. Everyone say, hey, Abby. Okay, this one I've got another jar, okay? In this jar I actually have 100 buttons, okay? I've got 100 buttons. What are the colors of the buttons in here? Generally. Blue and 1 red. Okay, I have 99 blue buttons and I have 1 red button. Okay, let's play this little game. Abby, are you ready? I want you to close your eyes and I want you to pull out the red button, okay? Go ahead. Oh, no, that's my arm. Or you touched it, but that's a blue button. Go ahead and give it another shot. Okay, let's take it up here. Okay, go ahead. No, they're all the same. Well, kind of. Let's see if she gets it. Oh, no good. Hey, everyone give Abby a big hand. Give her a big hand. So, how long do you think it would take if we were to sit here for Abby to pull out the red button? How long do you think it'd take? How long? Huh? What? The odds are 1 out of 100. We could be here for hours. Abby, we could be here for hours trying to get you to play this game. And we may never get there. But 1 out of 100, it would eventually happen. It probably happen tonight. It may be like 3 hours into it. Okay, what's your name, buddy? Max. Everybody say, hey, Max. Okay. All right. In here, Max, I have 1,000 buttons. Okay, I have 1,000 buttons. What are the colors of my buttons in here? Black and 1 red. This game's like pretty easy to figure out, right? Okay, Max, there are 1,000 buttons in here. 999 black buttons and 1 red button. Close your eyes, reach in there, pull out. Wouldn't it be amazing if he pulls it out? I think I might do a dance if he does. Don't look. Oh, it's a black button. I'll tell you what, we'll make your odds a little easier. Okay, go ahead. All right, it got easier. It's all going to happen this time. I bet it's going to happen. Use the force. Max. Use the force. Oh, another black button. You can have that one. That's a souvenir for you. Now, okay, so, yeah, give Max a big hand. So what are the odds? What are the odds of this one? 1 out of 1,000. Okay, the odds are 1 out of 1,000. And how long do you think it would take for us to find this one? It could take days. We could sit here all day. My hand's gonna get stuck. We could pull out buttons all day long and maybe never get the button out of here. This is a little game of math. Okay, so for Jesus To fulfill these prophecies, there were 300 different prophecies about Jesus. Now, what are the odds of Jesus fulfilling this? Okay, this might be a trick question. What are the odds? What are the odds? Yeah, you. Somebody else. Somebody knows the answer. 1 out of 300. Wrong. Not 1 out of 300, because Jesus actually has to fulfill all 300 of these prophecies. The odds are actually much bigger. I'll tell you what, don't put your hands down because you're not going to guess it. This is actually what the odds are. If Jesus actually fulfills all 300 prophecies, the number is actually 1 in 10 to the 17th power. It's actually this number right here. 1 in 100 quadrillion will be the fulfillment of that. To actually get all 300 prophecies, the odds of that is if Jesus, of actually being the Messiah, would be fulfilling 1 out of 100 quadrillion. It would actually be like this. I have a quarter in my pocket, and I'm going to take a Sharpie, and then I'm going to write an X on this Sharpie, okay? Okay, listen. Okay, so I have this X on this Sharpie. Now, this is the game that we would play. This is how big it would be. It's kind of like we had this jar. You'd reach in, you grab one out, you reach one, grab one out. How many of you guys have ever been to Texas? Okay, many of you, you've been to the Promised Land. That's wonderful. Okay, now it would be like this. I have 1 quarter with an X on it, and I go home to my home state of Texas, and I take a whole bunch of quarters, and I begin to lay the quarters out. And I actually cover the entire state with quarters, 2 feet deep. And one of those quarters is a quarter with the X on it. And then you're going to fly into Dallas, and you're going to get off the airplane, and you're going to start wandering around the state of Texas through 2 feet of quarters all the way along the way. And then at some point in time, you're going to reach down and pick up a quarter, and it's going to be the quarter with the X on it. Those are the odds that Jesus would fulfill all 300 prophecies. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Jesus fulfilled all those prophecies. And that was pretty amazing. And there are some people who were watching, and they saw that Jesus was born in Bethlehem. They saw that Jesus was born to this family, and they saw how Jesus was born. He saw about the shepherds and the wise men and all these things. And there were some people that were putting it all together, and they realized that this wasn't any ordinary baby, that there was something special, that maybe Jesus was the Messiah. Now, a lot of these prophecies started to come when Israel was, this is a little bit of a history lesson here. Israel was in a pretty tough predicament. You see, Israel was its own nation, and then Israel had been conquered by another nation. And Israel was basically like a prisoner within their own country. It'd be kind of like this. It'd be kind of like here in the United States of America. And this is kind of ridiculous, but let's just like imagine France came over here on boats and airplanes and tanks, and they took over. And we were no longer the United States of America, we were now the United States of France. Kind of weird. And let's just say French soldiers walked our streets. We all had to pay taxes, but our taxes didn't go to the government. The taxes went over to France. And that would be a little frustrating, wouldn't it? Because we're proud of the Americans, right? We even have a song about it. And we'd be a little frustrated by that. And there might even be some of us who are thinking like, no, that's not fair. France doesn't get to rule us. We should rule ourselves. We should have our own government. We should be free to do whatever we want. And this is exactly how the Israelites felt. This is how the Jewish people felt. That this isn't fair. The Romans shouldn't rule us. The Greeks shouldn't rule us. We should rule ourselves. And then all these prophecies were coming out about this coming Messiah. And there were prophecies that this Messiah would be the king of the Jews. And these Jews were thinking, we do need our own king. And then these prophecies come out and said that this Messiah would set them free. And they're thinking, we need to be set free. And they began to look for this Messiah. And when this Messiah finally showed up, many of the people were very excited about who Jesus might possibly be. But here's the deal. Jesus wasn't the Messiah they were expecting. We know that Jesus was the prophesied Messiah because he fulfilled all 300 of these prophecies. You see, Jesus, what happened to Jesus didn't actually fit what they expected. Because many people were excited about Jesus. They were excited about that he was the Messiah. And then one day Jesus was arrested. And people started to wonder, like, what do you mean they arrested the Messiah? No. The Messiah, he's the king. He's going to free us. And then they began to beat Jesus. And they tortured him. And then they hung him on a cross. And they put a sign over his head, King of the Jews. And then Jesus died. Can you understand how confused these people were? But wait. He's the Messiah. Like, he's going to save us. He's going to be our king. How can he be dead?